What's up, MetaNerdz? This breakdown will use every source available to completely understand the Dreadnaught-class Heavy Cruiser, a brainchild of Rendili Star Drive that stands as a testament to the art of warship design in the galaxy. Introduced around 119 BBY, its longevity and widespread use across various factions including the Galactic Republic, Galactic Empire, New Republic, and even local governments speaks volumes about its versatility and enduring relevance in space warfare. The Dreadnaught's role as a battleship, patrol vessel, and convoy escort underscores its multifaceted capabilities in both offense and defensive engagements. In terms of design, the Dreadnought class deviates significantly from contemporary ships like the Mon Calamari cruisers and Imperial Star Destroyers. While these vessels were either specialized for specific roles or epitomized the brute force approach, the Dreadnought class was a master of adaptability. The 600-meter-long Leviathan was not just a symbol of military might, it was a tool for planetary occupation, showing its utility beyond just space battles. Its manufacturing cost was substantial at 7,200,000 credits, which reflects the advanced technology and resources invested into its creation. However, the black market value soaring to 35,555,000 for used models shows that high demand among factions that were not officially sanctioned to possess such military hardware, including notorious groups like the Hutts. In comparison to its counterparts, the Dreadnought class was more than just a ship. It was a symbol of power and a floating fortress capable of holding its own against newer models. And despite its introduction over a century before the Battle of Yavin, its presence in fleets across the galaxy signifies its unwavering dominance in the field of space combat and control. And that's why it's become one of the most iconic and effective ships ever known. The physical structure and internal systems reveal a design that balances offensive capabilities, cargo capacity, and power management, albeit with some noted inefficiencies. The Dreadnaught's keel stretches nearly 600 meters with a distinct clam-like bow, with a width of 116.5 meters and a height of 129.7 meters, including that lower sensor array, all add to its striking profile. But it isn't just for intimidation, it all plays a crucial role in the ship's operational capabilities. The hull of the Dreadnought is studded with a cluster of weapons blisters, a testament to its designation as a heavy cruiser and its role in frontline engagements. While it may be considered a downscaled warship compared to the more aggressive designs of the core worlds, its armament is nothing to scoff at. This spread of weapons allows the Dreadnought to hold its own, of 10 medium turbo laser batteries, 5 at the fore and 5 at the aft, 20 light quad turbo laser cannons, 10 port and 10 starboard, 20 heavy laser cannons, 10 port and 10 starboard, and there is also a common modification to have an ion cannon or warhead launcher firing concussion missiles, with this ion ability allowing them to capture ships without destroying them, and these warheads often containing flak for an anti-starfighter defense. It's said that in terms of firepower, a group of 3 to 5 Dreadnought-class cruisers could collectively outgun an Imperial 1-class Star Destroyer. The key feature of the Dreadnought class is its massive cargo hold, located in the forward ventral portion of the ship. This hold, complemented by additional cargo spaces towards the center, allow for a substantial cargo capacity of 9,000 metric tons. This makes it not just a warship, but a capable vessel for transport and supply missions, with enough consumables to sustain operations for 1 to 2 years. The strategic placement of these cargo areas in front of the main reactor and secondary power generators showcases a design that considers the balance between combat readiness and logistical support. The ship's practical design also included docking ports on either side, allowing for efficient resupply and crew transfer operations. Additionally, several escape pods are integrated into its structure, ensuring crew safety in emergencies. Its propulsion system was marked by its 6 ion engines, providing a modest megalight speed of 13. This speed, while not groundbreaking, is sufficient for the role it's expected to play. We saw that it was armed to the teeth, but its defensive systems were equally robust. Deflector shield projectors, located inside some of the hull's blisters, provided substantial protection against enemy fire, with shielding rated at 1,920 SPD and a hull rated at 1,056 RU, meaning the Dreadnought was well equipped to withstand significant damage in combat. The placement of the primary and secondary sensor transceivers towards the stern of the vessel, on both the dorsal and ventral sides, was a design choice similar to that of the CR-90 corvettes, ensuring comprehensive situational awareness. Despite its formidable armament and defense, it did have its share of technological limitations. Its sublight and hyperspace speeds were considered subpar for its time, with an initial Class 4 hyperdrive rating. This rating was a notable drawback, as it limited the ship's rapid response and strategic redeployment abilities. It also suffered from computer failures, a flaw that could jeopardize operations during critical moments. And not knowing when this could happen must have been incredibly stressful for everyone on board, not to mention anybody depending on them showing up to save the day. Furthermore, when compared to contemporary designs, it did fall short in terms of firepower and shielding efficiency, But remember, those first versions came out 100 years ago, and so the later versions received upgrades to a Class 2 hyperdrive, bringing them on par with most capital ships in terms of speed. Though they did keep a backup Class 6, making sure they have redundancies and reliability. Though again, another mark against is that its power plant is noted for being inefficient, with a peak power output of approximately 1.9 to 10 to the 24th watts, which indicates a high energy yield, yet the inefficiency of its generators could lead to higher maintenance needs and operational costs. But one of its most striking aspects was its demanding crew requirements. To operate at optimal performance, each vessel required a crew of 16,000 members. This high crew-to-kilometer ratio, perhaps the highest among all modern starships, presented considerable challenges. Recruiting and supplying such a large crew turned each dreadnought into a logistical nightmare, stretching the resources of any organization that deployed them. In response to this issue, computerized, slaved-rig dreadnoughts were developed, drastically reducing the crew requirements to about 2,200 members. This dreadnought made them more manageable and cost-effective, albeit at the expense of some operational flexibility. And so the later versions of the Dreadnought around the Clone Wars and Galactic Civil War became quite respectable, with extensive and varied weaponry, robust defense systems, and practical design features, giving it a truly formidable presence. However, those computer failures, especially in the models that had heavy automation, could prove devastating and show that even the most iconic ships in the galaxy were not without their flaws. Initially, the Dreadnought was not designed for carrier duty, however, as the ships aged and underwent upgrades and retrofits, their roles evolved. Central cargo holds were converted into hangar spaces, significantly enhancing the ship's combat versatility. During the Clone Wars era, dreadnoughts commonly housed the predecessors to the TIE fighters, known annoyingly as the TIE starfighters, and later Imperial dreadnoughts often carried the standard TIE fighters. Non-Imperial variants, such as the Longshot, were equipped with other snub fighters like the Cloak Shape. Notable examples like the New Hope accommodated a diverse array of craft including X-Wings, assault shuttles, lifeboats, and at least one HWK-290 light freighter. The Leviathan, known for its anti-pirate operations, featured an expanded hangar capable of holding up to 60 starfighters, typically I-7 HAL runners, along with shuttles and ATPT walkers, especially in the Katana fleet variants. A unique feature of the Dreadnought was the absence of a visibly distinct bridge section. Instead, command decks and crucial crew stations were sheltered within the main armored superstructure, primarily located on the dorsal side of the bow. This design choice prioritized the protection of critical command functions over having organic eye visibility on the battlefield. It's kind of crazy that we don't see this design used more often, given how many times the exposed command bridge was exploited. In terms of sensor and navigation capabilities, the Dreadnought class was equipped with medium-range primary and secondary sensor transceivers. The standard-equipped navigation systems ensured that the vessel could operate effectively across various galactic regions. While these systems might not have been the most advanced, they were reliable and suited the multi-role nature of the Dreadnought. And turning to its history, we'll see that it was steeped in galactic conflict and technological innovation, making it a pivotal vessel in the annals of space warfare. Developed by Rendili Star Drive for the Republic Judicial Forces and as flagships for planetary security forces, the Dreadnought class drew its design inspiration from the larger Mandalorian Kandosi-type Dreadnought, a legacy of the Mandalorian Wars of the Old Republic era. This heritage and its introduction at least 80 years prior to the Clone Wars positioned the Dreadnought as a long-standing stalwart in the Republic's arsenal. During its early service, the Dreadnoughts were instrumental in quelling major conflicts. However, their operational shortcomings, particularly the enormous crew requirements, quickly became a problem. The Galactic Republic military responded to this challenge by developing a slave circuitry system, dropping it down from 16,000 to 2,200, which made logistics officers and recruiters a lot happier. The most notable implementation of this tech was in the Katana fleet, consisting of 200 heavy cruisers. Tragically, this project met a disastrous end when the crew were afflicted by a hive virus, leading to a catastrophic event where the entire fleet, linked together through that circuitry, performed a random hyperspace jump, resulting in the loss of their entire crew. The Dreadnought also featured prominently in the Rendili Home Defense Fleet, and the ambitious Outbound Flight project, which aimed for extragalactic exploration using a design that incorporated 6 dreadnoughts. Beyond the Galactic Republic, these ships were a staple for local forces, especially in areas where larger, more advanced warships were inaccessible due to financial or industrial limitations. In the Outer Rim, where the Trade Federation's restrictions limited access to advanced military hardware, locally produced or modified Dreadnought-class cruisers served as a vital part of planetary defense fleets. For instance, the Utapawan Security Force used them as anti-piracy vessels, though their largest Rendili cruisers were still substantially smaller than a Trade Federation battleship. During the Clone Wars, they saw extensive use during pivotal battles such as the Battle of Duro, Rendili, and Coruscant, with advanced assault ships and Star Destroyers often reserved for clone crews and elite Republic officers. So the Dreadnoughts were usually crewed by normal humans and aliens, either from planetary security forces or voluntary militias. The Republic Navy often paired them with the smaller, more agile Carrack-class light cruisers for escort duties. This combination of heavy firepower and durability of the Dreadnought-class, with the speed and maneuverability of the Carrack, created a balanced and formidable fleet composition. A notable example of this deployment strategy was the case of the Dreadnought-class ship Mas Ramdar. This vessel, along with 3 Carrack-class cruisers, formed the backbone of Home Fleet Strike Group 5. This strike group was an integral part of the Coruscant Home Fleet, whose primary mission was to safeguard the Republic's capital. Some were refitted to carry the newer TIE starfighters during the Clone Wars, adapting to the evolving nature of space combat. And then of course the Imperial Navy kept this on with the TIE fighters, and this new chapter of extensive service history, going from fighting an overwhelming droid army to hunting down criminals and rebels. Because the Galactic Empire inherited so many of them, but was also obsessed with their new toys, the abundance of old dreadnoughts led to their widespread deployment, particularly in less critical sectors. Battle squadrons in these less important systems often had a Dreadnought-class cruiser as their centerpiece, in lieu of the more modern ISDs. This ensured that the Empire's might seemed to stretch everywhere, even areas deemed less strategically vital. Recognizing the potential of these vessels, the Imperial Starfleet initiated significant upgrades to enhance their operational efficiency and versatility. This is where you get the upgrade to the Class 2 hyperdrive, and the cargo mods holding squadrons of starfighters became the norm, allowing a relatively small fleet to lock down any obscure planet. And this cruiser's resilience and utility were dramatically highlighted 50 years after the loss of the Katana fleet, when Grand Admiral Thrawn recovered 178 ships from that old lost fleet. These vessels, with their abundance of cloned Navy crewmen, played a crucial role in Thrawn's strategic offensive against the New Republic. The recovery and subsequent utilization of these ships underscored their continued relevance and impact on the ongoing galactic power struggles. Garm Bel Iblis, a key figure during this period, also demonstrated the tactical value of dreadnoughts. Maintaining a personal fleet of 6 Katana fleet dreadnoughts, he was able to capture an additional 15, including the flagship, the Katana itself. He's one of those that equipped it with ion cannons, allowing him to snowball his fleet's power as he captured functional vessels. Though the final ship of the Katana fleet met its end in the battle for control of this fleet. The defense forces of Utapau, known as the Utapauan Security Forces, were also utilizing their dreadnoughts. Now they were actually downscaled versions, being significantly smaller than the massive Lucrehulk-class battleships, which did show the adaptability of the dreadnought design, and manufacturer being able to meet the needs of different planetary defense forces. By the end of the Clone Wars and the transformation of the Republic into the Galactic Empire in 19 BBY marked a turn for many Republic vessels. A notable incident involving a Republic-marked dreadnought emerging from hyperspace near an abandoned Republic supply depot really highlights this transitional period. Broadcasting a distress call, unaware of the formation of the Galactic Empire, the vessel carried young clone troopers, the whole crew shocked and confused at their new place in the galaxy. In 2 BBY, its relevance in galactic conflicts was further exemplified during an insurgent action led by the smuggler Neville Signy on Bataan, who utilized dreadnought support vessels in their battle against the Empire, specifically targeting Admiral Thrawn's naval forces during the siege of the Creek Path mining and refining complex. Although these vessels were part of the insurgents' attack squadrons, they ultimately faced defeat against the Imperial forces, including Thrawn's flagship, the ISD Chimera. Throughout the Galactic Civil War, they would see heavy use by both the Empire and Rebel Alliance, though it did become increasingly rare due to combat stress, accidents, and just general wear and tear after all these decades. With the Empire locking down Rendili, the scarcity and replacements of parts further contributed to its decline in prevalence. But luckily for the Rebels, many damaged or decommissioned dreadnoughts were left abandoned, and even only being able to repair a few was an enormous boom to the budding Alliance. With the dreadnought's ability to carry a full squadron of starfighters in its hangar, especially useful for the Rebels' hit-and-run tactics. This period also saw the emergence of the Assault Frigate Mark II, a class of capital ships evolved from extensive modifications to the Dreadnought. These alterations resulted in a ship that bore little resemblance to the original Dreadnought class, including structural alterations and removals, and ultimately a reduction in crew requirements, along with increased maneuverability and speed, maintaining its armament, but it did lose some on defense in terms of the thickness of armor plating and even level of the shielding. So from the scaled down versions on Utapau to being transformed into the Assault Frigate Mark II, you can see this is a highly adaptable ship. One of the Rebel vessels, the Enigma, was rumored to be a haunted ship, plagued by unexplained power fluctuations, the mysterious breaking or disappearance of new parts, and even the vanishing of some crew members while aboard. While these occurrences could have been the work of some Imperial saboteur, some crew members believe the ship was truly cursed, with reports of ghosts seen wandering its corridors. This blend of technological issues, which had always plagued the line, with this new layer of superstition, only added to the mystique of this classic ship. During the blockade of Lothal by Grand Admiral Thrawn's 7th Fleet, the Imperial support vessel, a class including the Dreadnaughts, would play a significant role. However, that blockade was breached by the Rebel light freighter Ghost, which managed to sneak through by attaching itself to a cargo freighter in the year 1 BBY, which would lead to the final attack on Imperial forces, where the entire blockade, including Imperial support vessels, was destroyed by Purrgil, the massive hyperspace-capable creatures, all a part of Bridger's plan to liberate his homeworld. In 4 ABY, the Dreadnought class continued its service into the Rebel Alliance, as demonstrated by a raid on Imperial refining platform M36 in the Outer Rim territories. Rebel soldiers, led by a Pau'an Major and assisted by Jedi Commander Luke Skywalker, used the stolen Imperial vessel 49AX-3 for this operation. This mission, although initially jeopardized by an Imperial II-class Star Destroyer, was successful, thanks to Skywalker's intervention and clever diversion tactics using a private shuttle to distract enemy TIE fighters. And Galactic Emperor Palpatine attempted to use a Force vision to demoralize Skywalker, showing him the Rebels' dreadnoughts being destroyed. However, Skywalker managed to escape the Emperor's manipulation, allowing the successful escape of the Rebels aboard 49AX-3. In its early days, the New Republic relied heavily on the dreadnoughts, utilizing a mix of donated, captured, or recovered vessels. This reliance was a practical solution, given the limited resources and urgent need of a capable fleet. However, the formal decommissioning of the dreadnoughts came with a new class project, a strategic shift towards more advanced and efficient ship designs. No more energy-wasting engines, or wiring so bad that it sparked ghost stories. Despite this, dreadnoughts remained active during the Yuuzhan Vong War, utilized by both the New Republic and its successor, the Galactic Federation of Free Alliances. What's really interesting is that some dreadnoughts found a unique end as building material for the Hidden Temple during the Sith Imperial War in 127 ABY. And so you see its rich legacy, which is all sparked by Rendili Star Drive's practice of licensing local starships to produce their own variants. This approach led to a diverse range of dreadnought models being built and fielded across the galaxy. Notable were the smaller versions used by the Utapauans and the extreme models used by the Quarren engineers of the Mon Calamari shipyards. These engineers, who later defected to the Confederacy of Independent Systems during the Clone Wars, were instrumental in developing the Providence-class carrier destroyer and the upscaled Separatist dreadnought. These ships were refined versions of the Rendili dreadnought, and of course significantly contributed to the Separatist cause throughout the war. In conclusion, the Dreadnaught-class Heavy Cruiser, through their adaptations, conversions, and diverse variants produced under licensing, left perhaps the most profound legacy of any ship in galactic history, spanning multiple governments and eras over 200 years, underscores the remarkable flexibility and enduring significance of the Dreadnought. So that's it for its breakdown, and as for cool facts and behind-the-scenes stuff, the first new canon mention of the Dreadnaught-class Heavy Cruiser was in the 52nd issue of Star Wars Build the Millennium Falcon, a magazine by De Agostini, published around December 30, 2015. It was visually depicted in the Star Wars Destiny 2-player game expansion, using artwork that was originally from the 2014 Star Wars Age of the Rebellion core rulebook, illustrated by Adam Lane. The Star Wars Destiny card Hangar Bay Imperial Fleet features this ship and was unveiled by Fantasy Flight Games website on August 30, 2017, before the product's launch. The Imperial support vessel's design in the episode was inspired by the Imperial Dreadnought from the Thrawn trilogy, Legend series by Timothy Zahn. The Dreadnought was first introduced in the trilogy's second book, Dark Force Rising, in 1992, but originally appeared in the 1989 Imperial sourcebook by Greg Gordon for Star Wars The Role-Playing Game. And so it's retained its look all these years across all these different media, not really changing in the original or new canon. If you made it this far, please hit that like button, it's the best way to help me out. And check out these other videos, I'm sure you'll like them. But most important of all, remember, the Rendili employee who crafted the ghost stories to cover up their shoddy workmanship definitely deserves a raise, and the Force will be with you, always.